The fact that this entire sequence didn't happen because Kobayashi lost interest in Tohru because she took the maid outfit off has to be one of the funniest things we've seen in the past 2 episodes of Dragon Maid, and the dragons in this series be definitely horny for Kobayashi. I mean, you do get the sweet and innocence like Kana, but for the most part, the dragon harem is seemingly just continues to grow, and honestly, it's kind of hilarious. This series blends so much within such a short amount of time that we can have ridiculous action that's better animated than a lot of battle shonens out there, which entire purpose is fights, so, you know, once again, props to KyoAni just flexing what teams can be capable of under great work environments. But then you have the sexual and deviant comedy that was pretty much the first 5 minutes. You know, Ilulu was trying to basically show that humans and dragons, they can't coexist, they're monsters, and, you know, they care about one thing, and that's basically dragon waifus. And honestly, Kobayashi held out, not because of some amazing mental ability, it's more of just the kink was broken without that Dragon Maid outfit, and of course Tohru would recognize as such. But I was pleasantly surprised because I knew she was going to join the group at some point. I wasn't necessarily sure, would we have another Tohru situation, or would it just be another dragon character that wants to be around our girl here? So, the fact that you get like this backstory that it's not anything overly super deep or complex, but I think they have enough emotional weight there that it makes you immediately change your perception on why this girl's going crazy. I mean, this was a girl who used to play with humans and loved interacting with humans and was forced away and was taught that the whole reason you lost your parents or anything like that is because of humans. So of course she naturally was raised and is basically using the teach-ins. And when someone like Kobayashi saves her life and is, you know, not hiding bullshit, she's not saying like, oh, you're just saying these words so you'll make me come with you, and she pretty much openly admits that, yeah, I'm basically trying to trick you in a very good way, but still, like, she doesn't hide the bullshit, which is probably the first time in a long time she's felt like she can embrace her own feelings without having someone judge her. And to have an episode that really did blend so many different styles, absolute absurdity, romantic sexual tension, great comedy, amazing action. I mean, Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid Season 2, it took us a bit to get here, but it feels like the wait was definitely worth it. There's so many jokes that just were so well executed, and I feel like there's a lot of jokes that necessarily weren't there to make me think of them in the way that they happen, but it just makes me laugh all the more, especially considering I touched upon last week how, like, when this show was first, like, kind of getting brought up and, you know, teaser images and stuff appeared, you know, the internet had a field day with Ilulu's breast size, and the fact that Kobayashi actively makes a joke being like, wait, she can't reduce her breast size, all I can think about is the angry internet crowd who are being like, why can't they have normal breast size? What's with these outlandish melons? And it's just amazing because, like, it feels like there's a lot of self-aware aspects to Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. Her design, we know why the design's like that. But I like how the author at the very least wrote a reason within its own world mechanics as to why it happened, even though we know why the character design's there from a marketing standpoint. It's just really interesting, especially when you kind of like look at characters like Tohru and like what they've done. You just naturally assume all dragons are capable of the same things. So the fact that like literally this is pretty much the best that can happen. She has little doorknobs for hands and, you know, she does have an enormous rack. The fact that like there's just so much comedy and I feel like self-aware tidbits in it that it just becomes so great. And I'm really glad that they didn't beat around the bush with the conflict between these two, because really, when conflict's there, it's good and it's memorable, but I truly feel like Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, it doesn't drag out conflict. And if something does last longer than we're typically used to, there's gotta be a good reason for it. And I don't think many people are gonna be shocked that by the episode 2-3 maximum mark, that someone like Ilulu joined the household for Miss Kobayashi, right? No, it had to happen. There was nothing really about it, especially if the main gimmick and joke was that she gave Kobayashi a dick. I mean, do you really think this is going to be some long, emotionally draining arc where Ilulu has to go through this emotional baggage arc? No. I mean, they give you enough with her, like, wanting to already like humans but was forced not to, and someone like Kobayashi who's already proven herself to be a friend to dragons and resisted what she thought was the ultimate urge. I mean, it just totally makes sense. I mean, truthfully, the only shocking element about this episode to me was the fact that Ilulu was going to be as thirsty as Tohru. Tohru was already, I think, the thirstiest character who, no matter how much water you give that girl, she's still gonna be needing something to quench that thirst, and that thirst is only gonna be quenched by Kobayashi herself. And the fact that she just so casually, says, hey, my job's going to be mating with you, I can give you a dick again if you want, honestly wasn't expecting it. I felt like Tohru, because Tohru is a very, she's a jealous character, right? Anyone who goes near her Kobayashi, she gets jealous of. But for me, I was like, oh, she's probably going to be either maybe a daughter in Kana way, or a sibling dynamic, something like that. Because Kobayashi was setting up the stage, being like, hey, I saw something in myself and her, that's why I wanted to help her. And honestly, even though she had such a ridiculous character design, I was like, well, maybe that's just going to be something that you think is going to happen and complete opposite does. It just set my expectations for anything but that, so when she casually dropped it and you just have Kana say vulgar, that was hilarious, and it will be interesting to see, because really when you look at, the dragons we have, it kind of makes sense to have at least one more character equally as crazy as Tohru going after Miss Kobayashi, and I think it'll be really fun to see what's going to happen going from here. I think there's a lot of potential with the new cast dynamic. We took our time, I feel like, with introducing a new character without spreading it too thin. 2 episodes, I think, is an appropriate introduction, and, with the next 10 that we have to watch this season, it'll be interesting to see what type of hilarious and insane dynamics will take place. I mean, in this episode, we get a taste of someone coming after Ilulu, about to get killed, and because you pimp-slapped Best Girl, honestly, Tohru had to come in, and I thought she killed him. I mean, the sound effects of the crunching, the fact that she just, manipulated the memories and sent him home while ripping off a horn, honestly, it kind of felt worse than what actually happened, but leave it to Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. It's never a dull moment, it's hilarious, it's romantic, it's sexual, it's literally so many different KyoAni styles, while simultaneously being new KyoAni styles that you wouldn't have any other way, right? I mean, I didn't really take a look at what people thought of the first episode of Dragon Maid outside of my own comment section. Seemingly, everyone who's been watching the review from last week really enjoyed it, saying hey, I missed Miss Kobayashi, it's great to have it back. So I imagine anyone who enjoyed the first episode will probably love the second. I think the second was definitely more funny than the first, but I mean, the first needed to kind of rope us back in, get us reacquainted with the characters, the style, and this episode pretty much did exactly what episode 1 did, except it escalated it both with the romantic sexual comedy, and I would even argue the action. Last week's action scene was absolutely breathtaking, and even though it was very, very short, when Tohru came in to save the day, just something about that, it just was personally my preferred animated scene. Both of them were great, don't get me wrong, but there was something about episode 2, it just kind of felt like if last week was a 10, it cranked it up to 11 with this week. Great stuff, always excited for more Dragon Maid. Let me know your feelings down below, drop a like to help promote the video, and subscribe if you're new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.